Hello, welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 283, live from the bunker, week 3.
Week 3 and take 3, I think this is.
Yes, that's right. Week 3 for the podcast, at least, but we've kind of been under quarantine orders for longer than that. That's Matt Lawrence.
It's me.
I'm Ryan Johnson with the internet issues.
It's you with the issues.
Yeah. And how you doing, Matt?
I'm doing all right. Time is still lost upon me, but I've given into it. Like I mentioned on last week's episode, that time is completely gone. I was working last night until 7 a.m. So that's it, man. Like,
I was watching Adam Savage's YouTube channel, and he was talking about the. Do you remember 1917, the movie?
Yeah.
So when the two main characters like get ordered to go up to the front, and they walk through all the trenches and stuff, and they get up there, and the lieutenant there asks them like, "Hey, settle a bet for us. What day is it?" And the guy says, "Friday." And the lieutenant replies, "Oh, look at that. We were all wrong."
Oh my God.
So that's how kind of it feels like right now.
A little bit, eh?
No one's tracking the days. But let's talk about some of our top stories here. The big news, which I'm kind of excited to talk about, is the announcement of the DualSense controller for the PlayStation 5. That kind of shocked a lot of us, and I'd say a bit polarizing.
Definitely polarizing. I laughed when I saw it, so.
Yeah, I've heard people call it ugly, and I've heard people who say they love it, so we'll see how that pans out. Nintendo has an odd lawsuit twice from this company called Gamespot. Then they're trying to stop Nintendo Switch sales in the US.
Such a large goal.
Yeah. We also got E3 2021 dates, and they're talking about a reimagined show. Did we talk about that before? I feel like we did.
I think we've brought it up a couple of times, but I don't think we had any solid dates.
Oh, is that the new information?
Like, yeah, because I believe that it was basically said like, hey, we're going to be doing, like, the actual show is canceled and there's going to be a digital thing. Like, I think it was more or less we read out a tweet almost of amount of information.
Yeah. And then this surprised me. A new Saints Row is still in development.
Heck yeah.
And
Along
we're also getting
remaster,
Saints Row the Third is being remastered as well. So, all right, what's new, Matt? What's happening?
Well, I've still been playing the old Animal Crossing. I'm not as serious as other people. I tried to get into the Bunny Day event, and there's a lot of eggs and such. And I know that people were getting mad because there were so many eggs, which is sort of the crafting material of this event. Mm-hmm. So they've lessened them. They've released a patch to lessen them. And then when they did that, I was like, wait a second, I don't actually have that many of some of the eggs, like the sky eggs and stuff. And I realized, like, I went online and looked, and I need like 38 of them. And I only had like maybe 4, but I had a bunch of the other ones, like 38 of some of the other ones. So I went looking into how do I get these things to spawn, and there's this crazy thing where you got to go inside, talk to somebody, wait till like the last digit of your clock is 4, and then you run out, and then you run to the edge of the island depending on the wind direction, and you shoot the... Like, I'm not doing that. This is Animal Crossing. This isn't Fortnite,
right.
To be honest. So I've decided to take a step back, because one of the things in Bunny Day to get all the rewards is you're supposed to find all the DIY recipes, find or discover them, build them all, which requires the eggs, and then obviously then that's it. Then you on the day of, you go talk to the bunny. He's like, "Oh yeah, you built everything," and then he gives you this final recipe. Well, I'm not going to get that, and I'm just kind of at the point where I don't care. I've realized that I think Animal Crossing has become like almost like a hardcore game these days because of the quarantine.
Right.
But in reality, I feel like the progress that a lot of people are making is actually sort of false, not necessarily due to time travel, although there is that.
It's more casual.
But it is like it is supposed to be much more casual. Like, I feel like some people's towns and cities are as developed as mine in New Leaf was after a year.
Mm-hmm.
So now, again, I don't really look stuff up about Animal Crossing. I have a little bit now because it's been such a big game lately. Mm-hmm. But I'm now treating it like I used to. Like, I don't really care. I'm just gonna get some cool stuff, and I'm not gonna like go nuts about getting the last recipe for Bunny Day. I'm not grinding balloons for 10 hours. It ain't happening.
Yeah.
And then we've been getting back into 76 a little bit. So we've been doing 76 in between a couple other multiplayer games, Call of Duty, and we did a little bit of Overwatch too this week.
Mm-hmm.
One night of that. So yeah, it's been a bit of a journey for Fallout 76, I guess. We're about to step into the Wastelanders expansion, which comes out next week. So hopefully that like breathes some new life into it. And you and I are thinking about getting a Fallout First membership for a month.
Yeah,
So
I was wondering about that. Do you get to keep that outfit?
I have no idea, to be honest. I think you might be able to keep the outfit, but you might lose the recipe.
So you can just wear it, but you can't make a new one.
Yeah, so if you break it or something, it's like somehow if you accidentally scrap it or something, you
Yeah.
screwed yourself. Although I want the atoms. There's a couple of things in this shop that I want, and I don't really want to pay the outright price.
Yeah.
It's like I want that siren for my camp and stuff, so.
Because you know what I miss is what I always used to take advantage of is they would have your standard bundles of atoms, like 800, 1500, whatever they were. But they used to have that one that came with an outfit. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. It's like I bet you another one of those is actually on the horizon with Wastelanders, to be honest.
Well, I don't know now that they have the Fallout First thing. That seems to have taken place of that.
I never
I
really
haven't
thought of
seen
that.
one of those since Fallout First came out.
That's a good point, because I do remember those like bundled. It'd be like pay this much, get a costume, and then you get a certain like 500, 600, whatever it is, atoms.
Yeah.
Together for like a good price, and like I got the Mechanist suit and stuff like that. But I guess I haven't really played since Fallout First came out, so I never really noticed.
Because I used to like to buy those because I felt like they were more. It was more of a value to me than just dishing out money to buy atoms.
And the outfits were cool. Like the Mechanist is especially cool. And stuff.
They were nice. Mm-hmm. But how are you feeling about Wastelanders? We got that trailer, and we got some new information. We got I guess those locations that are no build zones for camps is where the Wastelanders will be, right?
Yeah, there's going to be definitely Wastelanders things there, whether it be quests or actual towns, I would say. The one thing I will actually mention as well that's weird is I hear they're also closing the raids for when Wastelanders comes out. Like Vault 94 raids are going to be closed for an indefinite amount of time.
Yeah.
Which is strange. I don't know whether maybe they want it to be a part of the story now, so they're changing it so that maybe they're going to patch it soon, so people who beat the story or something may be able to get there, but they figured the story is going to take a month or something to make, so they're just going to lock it out for now. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But so that's a little bit strange. I'm also looking to move camps. I really like where I'm at. I'm at the top of the world, but I don't want to move with that map out. So just as a clarification for the listener out there, Bethesda's released a map of like where you can't build anymore, or where you won't be able to build once the Wastelanders come out, and where you'll be kind of kicked out for your camp. So I'm in a really good spot, but I'm also in a very busy spot, and I want to move to a place with more resources. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to wait a little bit and wait for the Wastelanders to come out, and then I'll make a final decision on where I want to move, and then I'll move camps, because I need lead, man. Like, good lord, I need to make some ammo. So that's kind of where I'm at. Although, see, the thing with Wastelanders is it looks really good. It absolutely would have excited me if this came out with the game. Like, I'd have been like, wow, this is like a great game and everything. The problem is a lot of the problems with this game still exist today. A lot of the problems I have are either their glitches or their design problems or clunkiness. They still exist. There's still bad performance issues. Not as bad as there were, but there's still bad performance issues playing on PS4 version. And as a result of that, actually, I've experienced some glitches on PC recently too. And as a result of that, it's like I'm excited, but like my excitement is muted a bit.
Yes. And there's simple things like just in terms of this being a multiplayer game, we struggle with even joining a world together where someone might have to sacrifice their camp. That's what we were running into last night.
Yeah, that's the thing that sucks, is because my camp is designed so that it's not just like a house on a piece of foundation. It's actually built into the natural landscape. So if my camp gets broken apart, then I'm actually kind of screwed, because if I replace my camp, it's not going to be able to snap back into place easily, or at all. Like, it might be almost impossible for me to get this big blueprint to be in the right place again.
Right.
Also, the one thing is you found out, however, that you went into a place that said you couldn't build your camp. You said, okay, I'll load into the world. And then you joined us later and saw that your camp hadn't moved. So I wonder if they've addressed that. Like, I always thought that when you went into the world and you said, oh, I'll just load into the world, that it would actually pack up my camp, and like as if I never had a camp. But it kind of seems like, unless it was a glitch when you joined in our world, but like when you joined in our world, your camp was still in the same spot, right?
I think what happened is, well, we left your world and went to someone else's, right?
Right.
what I think happened is like, yes, my camp could not be placed in that previous world, and I joined anyway. But once we joined a different one, and it could be placed, so it still has that memory of where my camp should be, And if I join somewhere else where it can be, it then shows up.
See, like
Hopefully that's
that's
okay. We should test it. Really,
we should actually, yeah, we should seriously test it and see if it works the way it is, or if it was just a glitch because you moved quickly, like you changed servers quickly. But one of the things that really sucks about this is, everyone kind of wants their camp, especially if you have a shop. You just want your camp there passively. And even if it doesn't break up the camp, like I'm always worried about it breaking up the camp, and then I have to replace it. So if it doesn't break up my camp, I can absolutely load into a world with you guys that has people, or that has your guys' camps in there. So I still have a workshop to access and such. But my issue overall comes in with, well, like, why doesn't it just check if everyone's camp is placeable and stuff like that? It almost should take a note from Overwatch and do a longer matchmaking procedure where if we all join into each other's team from the main menu, and we're all in the main menu, and then the host or the party leader, whatever, team leader, goes and presses play, it should matchmake us into a world where all our camps can be placed.
Yeah.
And only in the event that it can't, should it warn us. Also, it should warn you that the world is full. Like, it actually does do that, though, which is weird.
Yes.
It warns you about the world being full. It should warn you about the camps like that. Before you load, it should tell you at least. Like, there's little clunkiness like that in this game. Like, I'm sorry, but the apparel menu is horrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this the right leg? Like, I'm trying to switch armors because I got some new armor, and I'm like, is this the right leg? Like, where's the right leg? And then there's the text is truncated in the Pip-Boy, so I can't see it because it's a legendary, and the title's super long, so I gotta go into my, like, workbench to see the full title. Like, it is a disaster in that way. There's just some stuff in this game that just has never been addressed. And I think a lot of it is because they aren't glitches. They're like design problems. Like, the lack of, or not the lack of, but the limited script per day to me is just ridiculous. The limited money per day selling to the Protectrons is just ridiculous. Or, like, they should set it to a limit, but, like, have a ridiculous limit so that if someone is playing all day, they don't run out of stuff to do. Like, it's one of these weird, almost app-like things where it's like, only play our game a little bit today, Yeah. Don't play too much now, because I've run out of money at the vendors several times, and last night we ran out of script, and we're trying to take advantage of this new event. We went legendary hunting, got a bunch of legendaries, and we're trying to sell our legendaries for script, and you can't now because there's a limited amount of script per day.
Well, you know what they should do? Instead of trying to do these like little things like not having enough script to slow people down, they need to add like new content, like the Wastelanders update that people have to work through again. So let people, right now there's no sense in letting people or restraining people, right?
That's the thing. Yeah, like why are we restraining? Well, I honestly think it's kind of like the GTA 5 thing, where they limit in GTA 5, they limit the amount of jobs to limit your amount of money, so that ultimately you'll need to pay shark cards.
Yeah.
I think that by limiting your money and by limiting your script, you're attracting me to come back tomorrow. And every time I come back, I check the atomic shop, and every time I come back, I check all the stuff and I put more time into the game, and I'm putting more investment of my time and more investment of my potentially money, this is the main thing, into atoms. So like they want that potential for me to keep coming back. I'm investing my time, and then now I feel more comfortable to invest money into atoms.
Yeah.
If we weren't playing this steadily, you and I together would never have considered getting the Follow First membership for a month. But now we are, because we're playing it steadily again.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping this is a good update. I imagine it's going to bring a wealth of bugs. I hope it doesn't, but I mean, their track record,
Well, like, see, that's the thing, is it's like, this might break a lot of stuff. Like, this is a huge update.
Yeah.
To this game. Like, this could break people's inventory. People could be losing items. Like, there's nothing that's telling us that that's going to happen other than the past. You know what I mean? Where it's just been buggy with these really bizarre bugs. Like, how many old bugs are going to get patched back into the game now?
Right.
Like, Marty couldn't exit his power armor yesterday, and then he got, like, locked in. And I remember that glitch being around for a long time, rare, but still a glitch, and he got that glitch last night.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm worried, but also excited for new content.
100%.
Uh, and it's going to be hard with a lot of them working at home now, right? So if there are like a wealth of bugs that need to get working on right away, it could be a while.
Well, here's my speculation as to why they delayed it. I think they know all hell's going to break loose, and they wanted the Easter weekend as a long weekend for their staff. Now it's possible that they're still in crunch or whatever, but I have a funny feeling they're actually done because it's coming out on Tuesday, and they might be taking a 3 or 4 day weekend, and then they realize after this 3 or 4 day weekend they might be working the next couple of weekends.
Right.
Because all hell
Jeez.
might break loose. Like that's honestly my opinion. Because why would you delay by a week when realistically you could have potentially released it right before Easter weekend and had a bunch of people online? I think it's because they're worried.
Yeah. But what does a week get them? Let's say there's normal circumstances, and a normal like a developer that doesn't have a history of a bunch of bugs. Would a week, be enough to make some serious changes?
I would say yes. I would say that if you saw like a big glitch, you could absolutely fix it, work around it at least. Something like that, absolutely, in a week. But I just think that it's been delayed so long and then delayed again just due to this working from home thing that it just seems suspect to me, but it just could be bad timing that this is going to be coming out right after the Easter weekend. Now, also, to their credit, because I'm only speculating about this Easter weekend thing, to their credit, they were going to release it 2 weekends before it. So they were definitely going to have, obviously, an influx of players come back for the long weekend, regardless if it's a weekend or two in. So they would have had that.
As well though, if they released it a week ago, that would have been closer to Doom, which is also
I suppose that's true too.
Bethesda. So maybe they just wanted to give it more of a buffer between their own titles coming out.
It's almost like that EA thing where they're just releasing titles too quickly and like too close together. Like I think they did Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 1 a few years ago,
and Battlefront.
And like that's so weird. Like I mean, admittedly, the crossover of Doom versus Fallout 76 might not be the biggest, but it's still weird to be cannibalizing that early into a game. I think
it's the weirdest decision. Yeah. But anyway, other than that, you've been just keeping up your normal gaming schedules.
Normal gaming schedules, yeah. For the most part, other than the weird times sometimes, there's a bit of a renaissance right now in terms of gaming. Actually, I've noticed that a lot of people from even like high school and stuff are back online more often, or back online from having been gone for a long time.
It feels like summer in high school again.
It feels like summer in high school again is exactly right. There's definitely like a lot of, there's a lot of people going online, frequently every day or every other day now, which is really cool. There's an abundance of stuff to do online, and actually, to be honest, I wonder if that's why my schedule is so screwed up, because I'm like going online with people in the evening during like normal evening. They're going to bed, and then I still have to work like normal hours. So if they're going to bed, like last night, you guys went to bed at like, I think you went to bed at like 2:30, and like we didn't get off till 3:30 because we did another mission for Marty in Fallout 76 last night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after you left, they went off at 3:30, and then I went and worked for 4.5 hours.
Oh man!
So it's like, what I'm basically doing is I'm filling in my work. Like I'm still getting my full work day in, because what I do is I wake up later, work a few hours. Then I go and game with people because they're up. And then late at night when they go to bed, I stay up and do more work because I'm still awake. Then I end up, because I'm up late, I sleep in again.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just crazy. But I mean, I'm balancing it, so it's working. So.
I've been doing some odd things.
What does that mean?
Playing games that aren't typical Rian Johnson games. The first one being Resident Evil 2.
That's really weird. I'll give you that. That's really weird.
I had bought it because it was on sale for like $26. I thought that was pretty good. And I only bought it because I like to look at games on my PC just to see the visual fidelity. I get joy out of that. But Aaron was kind of like persuading me to play it, and so I thought I'll boot it up and take a look. And I've gotten into it, and I'm not a person who likes scary anything. I don't like scary movies. I don't like scary games.
Yeah.
I don't like the feeling of being afraid. But I'm enjoying the puzzle aspect of this game,
Interesting.
and also just the story. It's kind of like what's going on here type of deal, and you want to keep pushing forward just to figure out what's going on. But I don't like the scary aspects, obviously.
Would you say that because we all did like a let's play of the first remake,
Right.
or like I don't even know if it'd be considered a remake, more of a remaster, I guess, just
I
to
think
get it
that was
working.
no. I think that one was called the remake. I think it was called Resident Evil Remake.
Okay, so
No.
but regardless, like of the first one, there were a lot of puzzles in that.
Yeah.
Were you not enticed back then to boot up even that game then? Because you weren't at the helm of that let's play.
Well, since I watched it, I had no real reason to do it myself.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm basically considering that being played by me, even though I just watched it. You know.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
Yeah. And plus, I don't like scary games. Although that one wasn't too scary because that was still very much like an HD, remaster. So it still had the kind of corny clunkiness of those old games.
I'll tell you one damn thing. I ain't playing. What was another game we last played? I certainly don't need to play Evil Within.
Yeah,
Holy crap!
it went on way too long.
I will never forget. We were at the end, or at least we thought. And Adriano was like the story was really, really winding down. He walks out of one building, through a courtyard, and there was a lot of indication that this game was about to end. And he gets to that building, and it's about a 6-7 story building. And then your guy looks up, and it becomes like a 200-story building, and it just like grows, like it's because it's like a psychedelic game or whatever, right? Like the guy's like losing his mind, and Adriano's like, "When the fuck is this game gonna end?"
Yeah, that was crazy. I wonder if Adriano's going to go on to the second one of that game.
I mean, I think he said he was going to, but I feel like he also suffered from PTSD from that game being too long. So, and he was the one at the helm.
I wonder if he forgot about it.
He might have.
But anyway, yeah, the puzzle aspect of it is super enjoyable, and it's not like they're not difficult puzzles. It's not like the Witness, like Marty was playing. It's just really super easy, not super easy, but super nice and rewarding puzzles. And so I find that aspect fantastic. I wish there was a game that wasn't scary that did that.
The thing is, though, is like the puzzles, if they're anything like that first one, the puzzles like incorporate fear aspects. So it'll be like you need the green key or I don't know something, and then you go into a room and you're being chased by zombies, and so there's like now an urgency around getting the green key because there's zombies. I'm surprised that you would consider the puzzle aspect of these games to be fun when fear is like amongst part of the puzzle.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe that's subconsciously enjoyable to me,
Maybe you're gonna get into fear games now.
No,
like maybe
I don't think so.
maybe this quarantine is changing you. That's it.
Here's the thing. There's been a surge in recent horror films that have been really well done and aren't all about jump scares or goriness. Although, what's that one called? What's the one we watched? Hereditary. That was gory, but it was very much more of a mind thriller than
Definitely.
a scary film. And I much prefer films like that or films like The Shining. Now, I think a lot of like horror fans might not consider that, horror by today's standards. But it's just more of a like it would be awful to be in that situation. That's the kind of scary film I like, not like creatures
Midsummer.
and zombies and like Midsummer, yeah. And so there's been several movies like that have come out that I've actually been able to enjoy that are considered horror films but aren't like Saw or something like that,
Although Saw is sort of like, I get the ones where it's like a traditional horror film where it's like Dracula or someone's chasing around. Those are sort of like, okay, those are kind of monster films now. But like, if you know what I mean, is like if it's a horror movie about being chased by like some sort of mythical being, that's a little bit different where you can't really put yourself in those shoes necessarily that easily.
Right.
But something like Saw, like there could be a serial killer like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Although Spoiler alert. I think at one point he and like spoiler alert from the bits and pieces I've seen. I think at one point he dies and his spirit is still alive because he's pure evil or some crap.
Oh, that was like one of the newer like aspects, right?
Something like that. So it's like those those are starting to become a little bit more fantasy-esque, but yeah.
So, I'm not sure if I'll go on to 3. I might wait for that to go on sale if I even want to do it. The thing is, I can only play it for like half an hour and then have to turn it off because I just start getting hot and just kind of frustrated.
I remember you said that you shined that flashlight down the hallway, and then you immediately turned the flashlight off and turned the game off.
Oh yeah, when I played it for the very first time, like I got through like the opening and I got to the police station, and then you go through your very first like open door, and it was just dark, and I heard noise and I turned it off.
Damn it!
Yeah,
come on now.
And the other game I just started today was Final Fantasy VII.
What's the lowdown on that? Is that an episodic game? I don't know anything about it.
It is an episodic game, but not in the sense where they're saying, this is episode 7 part 1. So I don't know how they're going to handle the sequel, but what I heard is the opening of the original game. You're on this world called like Midgar or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're only on there for like the opening part of that original game. They've taken that opening and made it a 40-hour game.
Holy crap. And that's the first episode?
That's the first episode, yeah.
A 40-hour game is the first episode.
Don't quote me on 40 hours, but just they made it a full long game.
Well, if it's around 40, even if it was 30 hours or even 20, really. Good lord.
Now, one of the criticisms is that they're not being explicit with it being episodic.
Yeah, like I heard that it was episodic. The only place I got the episodic was from them, to their credit, but it was when they first announced it years ago at E3. I remember them mentioning it was episodic, and then ever since then, I never really saw any headlines about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
I was just saw like, oh, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'm like, isn't that episodic? Like, why are people freaking out?
Yeah, Gamespot is saying 40 hours, roughly.
That is nuts. That is nuts. No wonder why it's episodic. You can't release a 2,000-hour game for that price.
Yes.
I mean, that's good, though. Like, quarantine people will probably love it. Yeah,
for sure. And I hope Final Fantasy fans love it. I'm enjoying it so far. It's not too bad.
Would you get the other episodes, do you think? Or do you think you're just going to get your fill with the first and be like, all right, that's good enough?
Well, I think I had to get through more of it. I kind of just played like the very first chapter.
Oh, okay. Don't you hate that, though? You're a person that steps away from games. Like more quickly. Like you will like boot up a game or boot up a title and you're okay with playing like 2 hours and walking away. Whereas I'm a person where I like to sit down. If I'm going to be playing the games at night, it'll be like 9 p.m. and I won't get off till like 3 in the morning.
Yeah. I used to be able to do that when I was younger. Something happened in my brain after college that I just don't... I'm not sure if it's attention span or societal pressures not to do that.
But like, you're not doing work after, are you?
No.
Like I've jumped off. Like when I say 9 to 3, I don't mean like that's what it is every time. There's been several. Like obviously, I'll boot it up for 2 hours here and there. But I mean, like if I have a Sunday off and I'm just being like left alone, or I've decided that's going to be a Sunday to myself, I will like boot up Red Dead, for example. When I was playing that, I'll boot up Red Dead from 1 p.m. until 3 in the morning.
Right.
Like it just doesn't faze me. Like when I start a game, I rarely do the tutorial and then leave it. Mm-hmm. That is one thing I like to get into the game, do like one thing of the free roam game, if you will.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, good enough.
I don't know. It might just be my attention span has grown shorter. It's just weird. Like I will, like even yesterday, I was going in between like 3 YouTube videos.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird.
I will say there's something with YouTube that seems to draw my attention away. Like I like start up a video and then I stop, and then I like start up another video, and like I kind of do that a little bit here and there,
Yeah,
like not
yeah.
always. I will say YouTube in particular is bad for that. But I don't really have any YouTubers that I always watch. And even though I'm a big fan of like the Joe Rogan podcast, I
Hmm.
personally don't necessarily listen to every episode, and I don't listen to them when they come out.
Right.
There's no one really online that I'm like, oh, I can't wait for tomorrow's video. I don't think I've ever said that, or at least not like consistently. Like maybe I was really looking forward to a particular episode,
Right.
but I've never been like, man, I'm gonna be like really interested in like this the videos will come out tomorrow. Like
Hmm.
that's few and far between, if ever,
Yeah.
for me. Actually, I'm gonna buy. Talking about weird gaming activity, I'm gonna buy probably Death Stranding because the photo mode.
I'm curious to hear what you think of that game once you get into it.
I mean, I've played a bit of it. It's pretty weird.
Oh, you have started it?
You and I did like a let's play or a stream of it.
Did we really?
Yeah, where we did the full intro.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because it's definitely not a conventional game.
It's weird. I'll tell you that much.
I some for some reason I did really enjoy the grind you get into it. But I can see why a lot of people did not like that game. I totally get it.
Like it's like it's the traveling, right?
Hmm.
See the thing with most recently, more than likely, maybe a little bit of Red Dead in there, but most recently, God of War, for example. God of War isn't really like your travel game. There's a little bit of travel with the boat and such, but there's not really. I'm not exactly going across the Great Plains to some crazy like
Yeah.
kingdom or something, like in a Bethesda title or something. So I'm not like exactly traveling for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time. But that game took me 20, 30 minutes to get to everywhere because I kept stopping to take frickin' pictures.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed the photo mode in that because there's some gorgeous landscapes and stuff. So
That's what I said during the stream. I was like, "Is there a photo mode for this?" And you said no, and I was like, "Then I'm out." I remember it.
right.
And then that was so weird that I asked you, and then you're like, "Yeah, it was added like a few days ago." It's like, "What?" And it's like, "Oh, and it's on sale." It's like, "Well, I guess I'll take a pictures of friggin' Death Stranding then."
All right, man. Let's hop into our first story. I'm excited to talk about this because I'm a PlayStation fan. Um, they just announced their new PlayStation 5 controller. Gone is the DualShock name, and they've replaced it with DualSense. So we both seen the controller. Let me just tell you what Sony said about it on the PlayStation blog here. They said, after thoughtful consideration, we decided to keep much of what gamers love about DualShock 4 intact, while also adding new functionality and refining the design. Based on our discussions with developers, we concluded that the sense of touch within gameplay, much like audio, hasn't been a big focus for many games. We had a great opportunity with PS5 to innovate by offering game creators the ability to explore how they can heighten that feeling of immersion through our new controller. This is why we adopted haptic feedback, which adds a variety of powerful sensations you'll feel when you play, such as the slow grittiness of driving a car through mud. And they also incorporated adaptive triggers into the L2 and R2 buttons, so you can truly feel the tension of your actions, like drawing a bow to shoot an arrow. So
Interesting.
let's just talk about the design first of all. How do you feel about the design?
That color scheme's horrible.
Now, Adriano likes the black and white, and he seemed to have liked the color scheme.
But he likes white and white electronics in general.
Yeah.
Like he has a white phone, and I think he's had a white phone for the last couple of them, right?
And white controllers with
And white
both his
controllers, yeah.
PlayStation, and I think he probably has a white controller for his PC.
I think it's a white Xbox controller, and I think his case might be white for his computer.
Oh yeah, I thought that was just a. Did he just have some Dell case or something?
He has like some generic case, but I think it's white.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember, but I think it's white.
So I have to say this: when I first saw the controller, I did not like it. I thought, "Wow, that looks weird." It is growing on me. I'm not saying I love the design yet, but I am getting used to it.
I'll say this about it: when someone, I think it was you, told me over PlayStation that on PSN a couple days ago, you were mentioning that it was sort of like the Xbox controller. And when I then went on Twitter, actually that night, I saw that someone had made up some concepts, using the real image of different color schemes, and there was one that was all black, and I can get behind the all black one.
Yeah, and I imagine there will be one, eh?
Well, the thing is I wonder if at launch it's going to be just white, and I wonder if that console is white.
The console's probably white and black.
And I'm really worried that the console might actually have that weird intercooler.
That weird V-shaped one.
Because I wonder if they got made fun of and that's why they're not showing it to us.
But how long do you hold that back? I mean, you're going to have to announce it at some point.
I wonder if they're changing it.
You don't think it's too late to do that?
I don't know, because they even said it hasn't been manufactured yet, so realistically speaking, if the boards might not change, they might be working on an intercooler. Is somebody clicking?
Oh, sorry. I have a controller in my hand.
Damn it. It all I heard was like a chick 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 chick. Like, what the heck was that?
I developed this weird pattern I do with the analog sticks.
That's why your analog sticks keep breaking.
No, it's not. It's normal use.
Anyway, but I wonder if they're just trying to make a new cooling, like just a different, shape now. And so they're actually changing the look of the console, but like, game devs don't care about the cooling system necessarily, as long as it's just as effective.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it takes to, course correct on that kind of stuff.
Because your case would change, but your board probably wouldn't. Because they would probably force themselves to use the same board.
I mean, just because this controller is black and white doesn't mean the console is going to be ugly per se. Because if you look at the Xbox One S, that's a gorgeous white and black console.
Oh, I suppose that's true. I never really thought of that.
And the dev kits usually do not look like the finished product, because they also don't want that to leak either, right? If everyone knows, like the dev kits always leak. We always see them.
Yeah, and I still believe that intercooler design that we've seen, the weird V one, is indeed just a cheap intercooler they were using for a dev kit.
Right. What I think Sony's game plan is right now. Now, maybe they're retooling things, because we've also heard rumors. Now, these are complete rumors. These are just like people on Twitter. All right. Of Sony having problems with like cooling and being outpowered by Xbox, and that took them by surprise, and they're trying to rework things and crap. So I don't want to really give much attention to that, because it's strictly out of nowhere rumors, right?
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if they're just letting Xbox show all their cards first. I think they're in a position where they can hang back a bit because they're in first place right now.
I don't think that I'm still in the camp where I don't think that matters when it comes to something new, because I don't think we would have seen the people in droves move to PlayStation if brand loyalty was a big thing. I think that when a new gen comes out, all like loyalty is gone, because a lot of people, like, yes, there's backwards compatibility on these consoles, but a lot of people don't care. And a lot of these accounts, they carry over for some games.
Well,
and there's crossplay to an extent now, and so I feel like whenever a new console comes out, it's almost like it's like, okay, then it's now the next generation. Which one am I going to buy?
Well,
fewer people will say, which am I going to, like, I'm buying the PlayStation,
Mm-hmm. I think you're right about the brand loyalty thing, but I don't know if we have accurate data to kind of make that assertion, because anytime there's been a major swing from one console to the next, it's because one of the consoles failed in some way spectacularly. We've not seen two solid, great consoles go head-to-head with a previous large amount of fan base.
I would say that this gen would have been the closest if they didn't have the blunder in the beginning, the marketing blunder.
Yeah, so let's say the Xbox One X, or even the One S, in its current state, was what it launched next to the PS4, right?
Yeah.
Would the Xbox fans have stayed on Xbox? That would be the truest test of whether brand loyalty actually means anything.
I will say there's probably some inadvertent brand loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that had an Xbox, then went to Xbox 360, then went to Xbox One, but it wasn't necessarily due to brand loyalty. It was probably just due to the fact that they're not plugged into the gaming world so much as they just play games.
Right.
And so they're literally just being like, oh, the new Xbox is out, I guess I'll buy it.
Also, I think people forget that PlayStation caught up to Xbox at the end of the generation. They both sold around 80 million consoles.
Oh,
And
I actually didn't know that.
yeah, it might have been like within the year transition to the new consoles, but a lot of people were playing PS3s, right? And they might have played that big backlog of great first party games, and maybe that also made people switch to the PS4.
Yeah, that's very true.
And Xbox does not have a great first party lineup coming into this next gen console.
Although I get the feeling like we're going to get a bunch of surprises. I feel like there's a lot under wraps for Xbox. Well,
Well,
actually, to
they
be
said,
honest, same
though,
with PlayStation as well.
if you watch that interview with Phil Spencer, he said that they're not going to like release a bunch of first party games at launch. You're going to have Halo and Forza if they're ready to go. And that's it. And then they're going to have staggered releases like normal.
That kind of sounds like a blunder, doesn't it?
So I don't know how you sell a whole new generation of consoles just on Halo.
I don't really know what games are next gen either. I think we're running into the same problem as PS4, Xbox One generation too, where we're seeing games like Black Flag, like Assassin's Creed Black Flag and stuff.
Right.
They come out both consoles, and it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like what's the punchline? Like, why would I upgrade? Like,
well,
there's no specific.
Cyberpunk. They said you get a free upgrade on Xbox.
You get a free upgrade, but like, does that matter? You know what I mean? Like, you get a free upgrade, but if you're in the middle of playing Cyberpunk and you're enjoying it and you're going to be playing it for a while, what's your incentive to purchase the next Xbox other than better graphics? But if you want a better graphics, like, is Cyberpunk coming to PC?
Yeah.
So then why didn't you get it there? Like, if you cared that much about graphics, would you already have a PC?
Well, I think there's console players that care about graphics. I'm mainly a console player, and I bought a PS4 Pro because I care about graphics.
I think it'll be interesting. The thing is does PS5 even have a big first party lineup coming out though either, like, for launch? Like, are they blundering this launch, both of them?
If I had to guess, I would imagine a Horizon Zero Dawn 2 will be there.
Really?
Wouldn't you?
I'd say a year in, maybe.
Horizon Zero Dawn came out a long time ago, Matt.
What else have they been doing, or nothing?
Nothing, yeah.
Well, maybe then. I just kind of figured that it had been too soon, but I guess I'm not really sure.
And the head
when
of
it came
Guerrilla
out.
Games became like the head of Sony, whatever it is, one of their departments. One of their PlayStation departments.
Yeah, maybe then. Maybe.
And obviously, I know Last of Us is coming out on PS4, but that'll probably have some PS5 version as well.
You know what this is going to be interesting is if these consoles do indeed come out and are not delayed at the end of the day due to this COVID thing, if we are at the point where they're not going to be delayed, are we going to see physical titles get absolutely decimated in terms of sales?
Right.
Because people are going to be forced, more or less, to use digital.
Well, I think this is why GameStop is fighting so hard right now, because people are going to see how much more convenient buying games digitally is. You know, when I made that switch and didn't look back, it's just like my life's been far better because of having digital games. You know.
Well, I mean, it's more convenient just on the console itself, but I wouldn't say it's like actually improving anything that much. Like, it's a little bit better UX, but that's all though. It's just a little bit better. It's not that much better.
But saving yourself having to go to the store to buy a game and just having it there at midnight when it launches, you know, pre-installed, ready to go.
That's super nice. Although you can order, like, you can pre-order and such the physical copies, even from GameStop themselves and EB Games. You can just order them and they'll deliver them.
I'm just saying, the people who are still holding out and buying physical games, now some of them have internet issues,
right,
or not access to internet, or just don't want to use internet for whatever reason.
Right.
But a lot of games are online too. So I'm imagining a lot of gamers are now connected to the internet. And I just think once they get a taste of the convenience, there's kind of no looking back.
Yeah, I suppose this might be the undoing of GameStop, eh? Like, honestly,
they're fighting hard, man, to stay alive.
I just don't I don't get something about GameStop, and I've mentioned this before. I don't get why they don't try to go more digital. I don't get the lack of like maybe they have tried, right?
Well, they have. They used to sell DLC and stuff.
No, but that's still not digital though. So
Oh, you're saying yeah, you were talking about like a launcher.
I'm talking
and
about like
store.
a launcher, or even if it's not a launcher, there's full businesses out there that make their living selling Steam keys. Like I don't understand why they don't go to that.
Yeah.
They just seem to be like hanging on to this dying medium. They know it's dying. And retail overall is dying. So they're hanging on to a dying medium in a dying industry.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
And their big plan to save them was those like hangout stores, and we're all indoors now. So,
but like are you gonna go to a hangout store though?
Probably not.
And I know that everyone's different, but I haven't heard anyone, and I mean anyone ever, say, man, I'm gonna go down to the local whatever place it is to go hang out. Like that's such a movie and TV thing. Like I'm gonna go down to like the diner and hang out and have some milkshakes.
Right.
Like I don't think anyone, like people show up, have their milkshake, and then they leave.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Now we don't live in a city, so maybe it's different. But like I even city folk, I don't see them saying we're gonna go hang around in the the closest I've ever come is like I'm like when there's no quarantine, I'm at Wimpy's a fair bit that late at night. That's it.
Right.
And that's not my hangout. Like I don't like hanging out there for no reason. I'm legitimately getting a snack.
We're gonna be coming out of a post-quarantine world that's now super aware of being in rooms with other people. So I think it's going to hurt the idea of going to hang out, even if people did hang out in droves at video game stores.
Definitely public. Like I think that the hangouts of people, like with people that you know, like at people's houses, I don't think those are affected really at all. Because like if I knew you had been like you guys have been self-isolating, right? Like you've been self-isolating.
Yep.
And let's say like there was some sort of like terrible problem where like there was some sort of terrible problem at your house, and like you like I don't know, no one could work at your house, and there was like a flood happening or something. I would still like even though I'm not supposed to, I would still at this point feel comfortable like rushing to your house and like helping you fix that pipe and your internet or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking like if there was a serious problem and it was like we need this, I'd be like, well, they've been self-isolating and so have I. Even though this is against the rules and I don't recommend anyone do this, I would personally still feel safe doing it. So when the actual social distancing stuff laxes off based on how the disease goes throughout the world, I'm not going to be scared to like go to people I know's houses, but I would be apprehensive to go to a crowded place with people I don't know. That's just me though, maybe.
Which sucks too, because I really want to go. I really want to get back into movie theaters, and that's like that's the most scary, sitting in a room with two people for or a bunch of people for like 2 hours. You know.
I will say something about this is like I went to movie theaters like even when. Like I went to movie theaters as almost right up to the point where they were closed. Like I went to a movie theater, I want to say on the Wednesday, and I think they were closed less than a week later. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just like putting a lot of faith in what the people are telling me. Like if the people who have the numbers, in this case the government, say it's safe, maybe I'm gonna be okay. But I would say like. I'd be a little apprehensive to be like, if someone's like, hey, let's all go to this, I don't know, this bar, and there's all these people there. I'd be like, this place is normally unclean. What does that mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let's get back to this controller here. So the share button got introduced with the DualShock 4, and Sony says that's not going away, but they're renaming it the Create button. With Create... We're once again pioneering new ways for players to create epic gameplay content to share with the world, or just to enjoy for themselves. We'll have more details on this feature as we get closer to launch.
That sounds so trendy that I know,
but
you know what I mean. Like that sounds so PR-ish. It's
but
ridiculous.
The share button is great. Like it was a good addition to the controller.
I will agree with that,
especially in this world. But they need better sharing options. And just let me share to a drive somewhere, just a cloud somewhere.
Please let me mount the damn drive from a
Even
computer.
if it's like a PlayStation like cloud system. I don't.
Or that, yeah. Please, like Xbox has it. Please.
Yeah, or better editing tools for like posting to YouTube or Twitter or something.
How about better performance so that when I press share, I don't have to wait 5 minutes for the freaking whole like press square to save clip button to show up.
DualSense also adds a built-in microphone array, which will enable players to easily chat with friends without a headset. Ideal for jumping into a quick conversation, but of course you are planning to chat for a longer period. It's good to have a headset handy.
I don't know if I've ever jumped into a quick conversation on a console, but okay.
Yeah, that's odd.
Although I will say, if you have really good headphones that don't have a microphone, that microphone's probably good enough.
Right.
So you could use the headphone jack because there is one.
I'm just worried we're gonna be playing Call of Duty and we're gonna like kill a bunch of people and they're gonna start yelling at us because they all have instant access.
Everyone has microphones. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. It's gonna be hell.
Days.
Oh, it's gonna be hell again.
I don't want that. So, but there it is. And maybe they could actually use it in games. Because right now with the speaker, you play like an audio log or something, it comes through. Maybe they can actually incorporate voice commands, kind of like the Kinect had for a bit.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, because then they know a mic is always there. They don't have to rely on you having an external one.
Hopefully, if they do that, they actually expand its functionality because it's pretty limited right now.
Same with remember the Xbox, you could control with Kinect via voice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That would be nice if the PlayStation could do that now to the controller.
Assuming they expand that functionality, yeah.
Yeah. Also, the picture of the DualSense looks pretty large, but according to Sony, it's been tested by a wide range of gamers with a variety of hand sizes in order for us to achieve the comfort level we wanted with great ergonomics.
I think I'd agree. The picture definitely looks zoomed in, eh?
Well, just because it like the DualShock 4 is very slim with its like kind of cylindrical handles, right? Whereas this looks more like the Xbox controller, which feels great in the hand. So if it's anything like that, I think that's an improvement.
Yeah, honestly, like for anyone who's a little bit worried about the shape of it, by me looking at that concept like black color, it made me like kind of see that it looked more like an Xbox controller. Like it didn't look as outrageous. The white for some reason makes it look really big to me.
Mm-hmm. And people have been doing like special edition controllers. Like I saw like a Spider-Man one, and that kind of stuff looks pretty cool on this controller.
D-Brand's taking some notes.
I imagine the official ones will look even better. So, and then also they took thoughtful consideration into ways to maintain a strong battery life for its rechargeable battery, and it has a USB-C port as well.
Well, the USB-C is nice. One thing I have noticed is, I don't know, maybe about a year ago now, I have a pretty old controller, and my battery life has been significantly improved. I don't know what improved. Like, honestly, I rarely see the low battery notification thing unless I forgot to charge it. Now, it certainly isn't Xbox, or certainly isn't DualShock 3 level of like 1 month charge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one charge per night, but like I'm talking about those longer play sessions, like I had mentioned earlier in the show.
Yeah,
and I'm not receiving like a low battery either.
Now, there's still complaints about the inline analog sticks and not the separated ones. How do you personally feel about that?
Honestly, that's one of those things where I feel like it's literally just like once you get used to it, it doesn't honestly matter.
I find it odd that people have strong opinions about it because it's such a small. Your thumb literally moves like 2 centimeters. You know what I mean?
I have heard though that if you have large hands, your thumbs like collide.
But I'm not even sure how that happens. Like how are you holding the analog sticks that your thumbs would ever touch?
Well, if you're strafing right and you're turning left.
But it's not like I'm controlling the thumbstick with my first knuckle on my thumb. It's like the tip of my thumb is on it.
I feel like some people with large hands maybe are using the knuckle.
Jeez.
But like,
I mean, I'm exaggerating with that, but I'm just trying to get a sense.
but like, if you have really big hands, I could kind of see that.
I suppose, yeah.
Although, you can see the wear marks on my Xbox One controller. I use the very edges of my analog sticks.
Hmm.
So I'm very much using intentionally the fingertip or the thumb tip, and therefore I'm not at risk, if that's a thing, of hitting my thumbs together.
All right, so I guess I'll be excited to get one in the hands, try it out for ourselves, and we'll see how it looks in person. Maybe it looks a lot better in person.
Honestly, look up those different color things because I literally laughed at it.
I've seen them, yeah.
And they look super nice. Well, like even for the listener out there, like if you think the white looks stupid, the white does look stupid. I'm sorry, but I really like the full black one. I'll say this actually, if they come out, if and I get a PS5 and they do have like the white and the black, I'll probably depending on the price, I'll probably end up getting a D brand skin to make it all black.
Mm. You don't want one of those biogenic skins?
I'm not using that skin again.
All right, next story here. Nintendo Switch lawsuit aims to stop the console's sales in the U.S. Comes to us from GameSpot. GameVice, the company behind a variety of controller solutions for iPhones, iPads, and other mobile devices, is attempting to sue Nintendo over the Nintendo Switch for a second time. According to Go Nintendo, GameVice cites similarities between the Nintendo Switch and its own mobile controllers, many of which are also designed around the idea of split controllers that connect to your phone or tablet on either side. GameVice claims it infringes on their own patents in the U.S. It's seeking a legal order to prevent the import of Switch consoles from Japan. I find this a bit absurd. Again, I'm not a patent expert, but I feel like they're different enough to me.
The thing is we don't have a lot of split controllers, I suppose. Right. Although Nintendo has kind of always had a split controller since the Wii, because
that's a good point.
Because of the Wiimotes, you worked on the Wii U as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the Wiimote and the nunchuck. So it's always sort of been split. Split certainly differently. GameVice absolutely looks like a Switch-like adapter.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing GameVice in CES, like live in one of their in a presentation or an interview somewhere.
Yep.
I remember seeing them. So for sure, they were out and around before the Switch, or at least they were showing it off at that point at CES. I will say though that I think it's just too similar. It'd be like DualSense controller suing the Xbox controller.
Yeah.
It's just I think maybe like that there's just different form factors for controllers these days, and that's just sort of it. It'd be like I have a Switch Pro controller. The Switch Pro controller is kind of like the DualSense, which is kind of like the DualShock 3, like all the way back to that. I think that controllers are just a bit too generic. Like, could you imagine a TV remote suing each other?
Well, yeah, I think at a certain point there is things that are just so universal you can't own a patent over it.
Yeah, it's just like a tablet. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Like,
so if Nintendo came out with a controllers that latch onto a phone, I can kind of see a stronger case there. But this simply slides onto its own device and can only work with the Switch. You know what I mean? It's not these universal remotes that can attach to everything.
That's very true.
So I think they have an uphill battle. They already lost, I think, their first case against Nintendo.
Yeah, so this is definitely the second appealing. One, right? Yeah.
So I don't see this going through, but I mean, GameVice could prove me wrong.
I mean, I get it-ish. Like, if PlayStation released something very similar to the Switch, would Nintendo sue? I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
So, I get it. I think maybe we see this as being more ridiculous because GameVice is obviously a smaller company because it's selling an accessory.
Right.
Whereas, I think maybe controllers are just too generic now, and they're just not quite seeing that yet. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, moving on. E3 2021 dates have been set, and they said expect a reimagined show. Comes to us from GameSpot. E3 2021 has locked in dates, and it will happen between June 15th and 17th in 2021. and they're saying it will be a reimagined show. Now, I wonder what that means. Do you have any thoughts on what could be reimagined about E3?
Well, one thing for sure is I wonder if they're going to have some sort of digital presentation from E3 itself for the smaller guys. So obviously, some indie titles and some of the smaller game companies will be at the bigger shows. Microsoft at EA's presentation, those type of things at the larger guys. But most certainly there are a bunch that no doubt had some floor space and had some interviews where they showed off their games and their indie titles. So I wonder if E3 is now going to put together a quote unquote show where you can do that.
Right. Do you think Sony would come back for this reimagined show?
No.
No? You think they're out?
I think that they... I always want to call State of Play arrogant. But I don't know whether I'm just bitter because they left E3 and I liked having everything all together. But I don't know about you, but I just kind of got the impression, like even EA, who left E3, was still doing an E3 presentation. That wasn't like overlapping really anyone, I don't think. So they were still doing some sort of presentation at that time. And then Sony's like, nah. Like, and what makes it extra bittersweet, sorry to interrupt, but what makes it bittersweet too for them, and what makes it kind of questionable, is their last E3 presentation was embarrassing.
Sony's?
Yeah, I'd say it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I think Nintendo's had a lot of luck with their, what are they called? Not State of Play, but
Direct?
Their directs. Which is kind of funny. I've never watched a single one, oddly enough.
I've watched bits and pieces, but I'm not a huge Nintendo fan, so yeah. I don't get the same excitement from them.
And Apple did this a while back too. They used to go to a show called Macworld, where they would have a conference and announce some products there and stuff. And they pulled out because they didn't want to be beholden to someone else's timeline of when to announce things.
But isn't that weird though? It's like I would get it if the timeline wasn't compatible with their timeline in terms of, if Macworld was every couple of months. You don't want to kill your developers by doing that, or every 6 months even. But Nintendo or Apple releases stuff every year. And so if Macworld's once a year, which I think it was, right?
Yep.
If Macworld's once a year, then they can abide by that. And no one's saying they can't tease stuff or show things off or even announce things and be like, more at Macworld.
Right.
I don't know. That to me, it just seems...
It
funny, seems arrogant. I don't know. I always get that impression. It just seems arrogant to me.
What's funny, too, is like Sony, prior to this, was kind of declared the de facto winner of the last couple E3s, before last year or 2 years ago when they had that bad show. Do you remember that one year where they didn't talk at all? Like, what's his name came out, talked for like a bit, and then it was just nonstop, back-to-back, amazing trailers. And everyone was like, that was
live orchestra too.
Yeah, and everyone was like, that was the best E3 conference ever. And they did that like 2 or 3 years in a row, and then they did that bad one, and then disappeared.
I think that bad one worked better on the floor for the people.
No, they said it didn't. It didn't. The press who was there, because they had to pile into that tent where the Last of Us composer played that banjo thing, or
that musical piece, yeah.
And then they had to all shuffle into the theater, and it was a big mess.
That's awkward.
Yeah. So that was a weird call. I'm not sure who came up with that, but
I bet you they were like, oh, the orchestra is immersive, so let's make it really immersive.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird for Sony to be so radio silent right now.
You say that, and it almost adds a bit of fuel into that Twitter rumor fire there. It is absolutely a Twitter rumor, and we could have easily spun that up just by the fact that we're speculating on their silence.
Well, yeah, I was listening to Podcast Unlocked from IGN, and they said that same thing, that it allows these rumors to fester because they're being so silent, and so people will believe these rumors even if they are false. You know,
It what's interesting to me always is like I don't know why companies go silent. Okay, so I understand why things get kept under wraps. There's a surprise aspect, there's a hype aspect, there's an aspect they're trying to get. There's an aspect of marketing essentially that they're trying to sort of push onto their consumer to make them excited, to make them hyped, to make them want to buy the latest product, in this case the PS5. I get that. But I feel like I feel strongly like there's a point in time where when the rumors, spread out of control, when the radio silence is out of control, that even if you don't want to, and there's nothing, forcing you to do this, but even if you don't want to say anything, and you don't want to say like, fine, here's the picture of the box.
right?
You can absolutely have a person come out and say, everyone calm down, a picture of the box is going to be coming in a few months. Like, announce your schedule. And then no one's going to be like, man, Sony's been quiet.
I think they did say that they're going to be showing off the console in the coming months.
But that doesn't help, right? Like,
No.
I feel like they need to be a little bit more direct. Like why are they showing us the controller? You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
here's the thing though. So, like, I heard a lot of people say that like they're letting Xbox control the narrative right now, and that Sony's being hurt by being so quiet right now. But look what happened. They simply announced a controller, and it completely stole the talking points, or just the chatter, from just the controller, and no one's talking about the Xbox Series X controller. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter when you announce it.
right.
I think Sony might know. Like, Xbox announced their console, everyone was talking about it. Everyone's like, "Man, Xbox is awesome. This the console looks great. Everything looks great." They released a controller. Everyone's like, "Look at this controller! Holy crap! Look at the controller!" Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
I feel like maybe the damage. You're right on that. Like, for sure. I feel like even if they go radio silence and they show up and they eventually do it, they will steal that like sort of zeitgeist for a few days or a few weeks or whatever, however big the news is. But I will say that the people who are less informed, like the people who like I've said, it went from Xbox to 360 then to Xbox One just because they had an Xbox and they don't have their ear to the ground.
Yeah.
The rumors, when they fester, the rumors do reach those people. And then the good news doesn't reach those people.
Yeah.
And so those people are getting, like, there's a lot of people out there that don't know a lot of stuff, because they just don't look it up. Like, they just, they're into sports, but they also like games. And so they read sports news, but they don't read game news.
It'd be funny if PlayStation Next just shows off like the HDMI cable.
Oh God!
They just released the HDMI, or better yet,
just the optical port.
The optical port. That's what I was about to say.
You know what would be awesome, actually, if it'd be awesome if Xbox does something crazy and takes their entire launch lineup and puts it all onto Game Pass and gives Game Pass away for 6 months.
Oh, with the console.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
By the console, you own every game for it.
We do know that Halo and Forza will be on Game Pass.
See, that's nuts.
So
that is nuts.
Yeah. We already own next-gen games, man.
See, yeah, like, well, the thing that sucks, right, is that only the Microsoft games are guaranteed to be there, right? Mm-hmm. I guess forever. I don't actually know the details, but they seem to be. But the other games are like a rotating library like Netflix. Right. Where they disappear and they come back and they do stuff like that. It'd be awesome if they lock in all of the launch titles.
Forever?
Forever. They just say, like, these are yours forever.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
And that would attract so many people who are not brand loyalists. They'd be like, I'm gonna get the whole launch lineup? What?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah. I'll go on to that.
Well, exciting times ahead, hopefully. I am a little worried of Sony's position, but we need more data. So, need to see the console. We need to know the game, the launch lineups, and we need to know the price. But that'll all come with time.
I completely forgot about the prices.
Phil Spencer did say that he has permission from Satya Nadella, to be, I think, somewhat aggressive or fluid with that price.
Yeah, one's waiting for the other.
They're playing a game of chicken right now.
You know what I would do? I wouldn't announce my price.
If you were Sony or Xbox.
Both.
But
And then
you
I
want
would do something nuts. I'd be like, if I was Xbox, I'd be like, pre-orders opened, $40 for the pre-order.
But this has to end at some point.
Yeah, day of, and then everyone's like, "Wait a second, what?"
Yeah.
Like, whoa, like the Xbox is only $90. Like,
Yeah.
he just went way too. He was like freaking out, like, Phil, what the hell did you do, bud? Like,
Yeah, but
could have made $100 million.
if Microsoft is behind him on the price, they must be really banking on winning this generation.
Is Sony itself still in trouble?
Like Sony proper?
Sony, not PlayStation.
As far as I know, I don't know. I don't think they're doing too healthily.
That's a little scary for them, isn't it? Like, I
Let's take a
wonder
look
if
at
they
their-
have fluidity.
Let's take a look at their stock price here.
Oh no. Well, this is the worst time to look at anyone's
Well,
stock
no,
price.
you take it out a little further. I mean, they're up over the last 5 years.
Wait a second, what? I thought this company was in trouble and they were dying, and that's all we ever heard from Sony was gloom and doom, and how PlayStation was the only thing that was making them money, and how they were in so much trouble, and no one bought their TVs, and no one liked their speakers, and blah 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 blah
Well,
blah
just
blah.
from a cultural standpoint, they seem to be bankrupt. Like no one really buys Sony stereos anymore or Sony speakers. I rarely see people with Sony TVs anymore.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Sony TV in a long time.
There's a lot of bad Sony movies. You know what I mean? So just from like a perspective culturally, they've lost value, you know?
Yeah, I would say that I used to like really think that like Sony speakers were like top notch, and now when I go to look at speakers, I'm not even. I'd never go like, man, let's go look at some Sonys.
I do see a lot of YouTubers using Sony cameras for their vlogs and stuff, though.
I don't think the cameras have been hurt. I think the cameras the Mark 7, I think. Mark 7? The Mark 7, I believe, is their one camera that is like super good at low light.
Mm.
And I think it's mirrorless as well. So it's like on that cutting edge where it's like, look what we can do with mirrorless, and look how good it is at night. So I think like in terms of camera junkies, if that's a thing, or camera files, I don't really know what they call themselves, camera fans. In terms of camera fans, they would like. I don't think Sony has fallen at all. I wouldn't say. I think they're still like a big contender. Like I don't hear about people buying Xperias though.
Right, and yeah, the phones are basically like I couldn't find a person with a Sony phone.
Do you remember that one Xperia phone that was like massive?
Massive.
There was an
size?
Xperia phone. Yeah, there was an Xperia phone. Now maybe my like scale is skewed because this was 5+ years ago. I think it was around 5-ish years ago. I want to say, and I'm estimating. They had this Xperia phone that was absolutely massive, and I remember seeing like it online and stuff, but I was never like a big fan of Sony phones, so I never really got into more than just seeing it. And I was in a Walmart one time in the electronics section. I think I was buying an adapter for something. And this guy walked around the corner, and he had that freaking phone. His hand was down by his chin, holding his phone to his ear. That phone was absolutely massive. That's a massive phone.
That's funny.
And it's like a thin piece of glass. Like you could accidentally be like, whoop, and just like
right.
I mean, I'm sure it's like structurally sound, but like you could actually be like whoop, and like it's almost like a wafer, like a graham cracker, because it's so big. You know what I mean? It's just like that was the biggest phone I've ever seen in my life, and I'll never forget that man walking around that corner. I was like, holy frick, like what's going on
funny.
here?
Yeah. All right, let's hop into our last story here. Were you ever a Saints Row fan?
Hell yeah.
I first got into Saints Row the Third. Actually, that was my first Saints Row game.
Come on now.
I greatly enjoyed it. I played it. I was sick for like a week, and that's when I played it, and it was a delight.
Saints Row 3 is super fun. My favorite is still the first one for nostalgia purposes, and the second one I acknowledge is better than the first, but I never got through it. I think I was busy doing something else, a different game.
I received the second one with the third, and I didn't. It was too different, going from third to two.
Yeah, like the first one to the second, like the second is an upgrade of the first, but the third is like, oh my god, like we're really hitting our stride kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the third is pretty damn fun. I remember Tim Spence, he's been on the show a few times. Tim Spence and I have played it. We bought it together on launch day, and we like played the crap out of it all day.
Right.
Pretty fun. Not buying the remaster.
I might pick it up if I see it on sale. They did do a lot of work. It looks like a lot of lighting effects, obviously textures and stuff like that.
That's just the type of game I don't need to play again, I think.
Probably not, no. But they are making a new Saints Row. They confirmed this because some people thought, oh, they're making the remake or the remaster. Does this mean no fifth game? But Volition has said yes, that they are making a new Saints Row game.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but they did make a few Saints Row games. So there's like 1, 2, 3, and then there's like Get Out of Hell, and there's a couple others, I think.
Get Out of Hell was kind of like just an expansion off of 3.
And then, well, remember, like one of them is like a superhero title, and it's using like the same map or something as 3 or something like that. And it was an expansion, but then THQ died, and then this, like, it was saved, and then it was like, wow, this is a pretty big game. Let's not release it as a DLC. Let's actually release it as a game.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm basically, the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm lost after 3. Like, I'm acquainted with 1, 2, 3, and after that type of stuff happened, I remember watching someone play as the superhero and being like, aren't you supposed to be driving around like a gangster? And he's like, well, you could drive, but this is much faster to just like jump over these buildings. I was like, all right, we're done here. Like, that's okay. I'm done now.
They made all modes of travel like useless. Yeah.
And so I just didn't care after that. So I'm hoping this kind of goes back to the roots.
Yeah, me too.
I have a really weird problem, and this is going to sound like really weird in terms of these games. I freaking rob the crap out of people in these games. I fucking love it. Like, I just rob the stores. I remember in the first game, you could break into the back and actually be stealthy. You could take the what do you call it, the store person like hostage. You could shoot them and take the safe combination from them. You could do the safe cracking, which was like stealthier. You could just hold up the actual store and then not like, because you actually like could take him as a hostage, take him into the back and get him to unlock it. You could just rob the actual store and then leave. Like, I remember, I just love robbing things in games. Red Dead, I robbed everyone. Like, I got yelled at by the NPCs as I was robbing people too much. So it's like, man, you're bringing in too much heat. Like, what are you doing, bud? And I'm just robbing people left, right, and center. So if they go back to their roots and they introduce like more robbing, I'm in.
Yeah, it kind of felt like actually somehow a more zany GTA. And
100%.
when they did the superhero one, it left that realm, and it just didn't become appealing to me anymore.
Yes. Well, I think it is. I think Get Out of Hell was free PSN Plus.
It was, yeah.
So like we could boot it up. To give it.
I'll just wait for the new one now.
Well, I'm trying to remember. Like, is there another one after that superhero one, or was that it?
No, they made some other game after that.
Oh, okay, so that's probably what I'm thinking. Like after 3, I was just lost. I was like, I'm out of here.
All right, Matt, that's all we got for this week.
Yeah, the third take went really well, actually.
Yeah.
so for reference for us in the future, it was just the router having a little bit of a hiccup.
Yeah.
At least, thank God. Oh wait, are you on wired connection or wireless right now?
I'm on wired right now.
Okay, well, even still, it wasn't working there either. So, pretty good.
Me and Matt are streaming on Wednesdays. We're streaming SimCity, having a lot of fun with that, and that's about it.
Developing the Wasteland, developing a very volatile tourism city, and a very dangerous to live in, unhealthy, radiated city. That's yours, Ryan.
Yep.
To be clear.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right.
Peace.
See ya.